In this video, I'm going to show you some of the breathing movements that are not the typical somatics, where it's these big closing and opening movements. It's subtle movements. I'm going to show you a simple, almost non-moving way to free your breathing space. But it is moving, and I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit here so that you can see it. This is beyond the basics. You can do this seated and standing. You can do it riding in the car. You can do it on an airplane. You can do it lying in bed in any position. You might even want to just be lying down on your back with your knees up, feet on the mat, plenty of pillow, just really comfortable. We're going to just go through some breathing directions here. If this is confusing, you got to back up and you got to go through my Begin Here playlist and work your way through that and look at how the sides are confused and all the breathing places. You got to clear that out because this is intermediate to very advanced, I would say. If you can do it, that's great. If you can't, just make a note of where it's really confusing, and we want to have some bigger movements to teach those places. So think about the ribs on one side, upper ribs on one side, and lower ribs on the other. Pull those two together through the body, here to here. I'm closing that up. I'm squeezing the air out. I'm bringing those two places together. Breathe very specifically that line apart. Squeeze the air out, that to that, line through the body, not even down to the hip like my big Inner-X lines. We're talking a shorter Inner-X line. Upper ribs on one side, lower on the other. Breathe that apart. Just make it really sort of soft. Close it up gently. Breath in, open, easy. Okay? I'm in the British West Indies today. Grand Cayman, and we're flying out, and there's some airplanes flying overhead, so my apologies if you hear that. Just close that up. Open it up. What part of that space as it expands does it not know how to expand? For me, it's a little bit, maybe the back surface doesn't know how to expand, but I can close that up. I can breathe into it. Can you? Other side. Ribs drop down, upper ribs, lower ribs pull toward these opposite upper ribs. Can you bend that? Can you bring these together and breathe that apart? Now, for me, I find it's a little bit tighter on the back. If it was tighter on the front, or if it was tighter on the ribs, wherever it is, I'd like you to extra contract that place. As I close up, I'm going to just make the back surface diagonals in this small line. Close that up. Squeeze the air out with it. Without stretching, gently breathe in, so gently that it could consent to opening. Got it? Now, a different plane through the body. Okay? If we want to look at the upper chest, I'm going to sink that chest down. I'm going to arch my upper back up. Upper back arches to push up the chest. Chest sinks down toward that upper low back. Squeeze the air out with that through that line. Can you breathe upper chest, gently, breathe upper chest away from low back. Low back arches, up toward the chest sinks, squeeze the air out, close that space, here to here. Breath in gently. For me, see, I got to explain one thing for you. Thomas Hanna, who came up with somatics, he made a really big deal. We have this tension, stress tensions that are hunching us over, tightness of the front. He said, well, it's this muscle through here that's really driving it. Rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle, which is really 5 pairs. Yeah, that could do it. But what he missed completely is that the side ribs fold down together. And one layer of the rib muscles is lined up exactly to pull these two places together. So the side ribs close to keep us hunched. It's not just the front, because I can hunch myself and protrude my belly and have this front muscle relaxed. Side ribs close, and that's really what's driving the hunch. So we want to say, can you voluntarily close it? Can you take that breath in and open it? So one more time. Arching the back up toward the chest. Gentle, gentle. You might find that you're just really good at pushing the upper low back up toward your chest. Sink the chest toward that. Squeeze the air out. Breath in slow. As you breathe those two places, those surfaces away, how does the space open? Can your brain see the space of it? Can the side ribs allow that to open? Beautiful. Because that's swayback posture. That's what Hannah talked about. I don't think he understood it exactly as breathing constriction, a single line of breathing constriction. He thought it's red light and green light, two stress responses. But I'm saying that really the essence is the brain has forgotten to breathe these 2 points apart. Can you practice that? Are you stuck there? Then there's another interesting line. What about upper back ribs toward lower front ribs? Pull the lower front ribs up toward the back of your neck, base of your neck, and pull the upper back right there, that upper back ribs. Can you pull those down toward the front? Can you find that? Low front ribs pushing up and back, and the upper back pushing toward that. So we have these 2 points right here closing together. Can you breathe those apart? Can you breathe upper back away from lower front ribs? Are you free there? Because if you're stuck there, I propose you'll be a person. I know what this guy is like. I was really stuck in this pattern in a way. Part of my stuckness, I had every pattern, but that will be quick to anger. Those people, they know how to be angry. Things make them upset. Can you get out of anger? Can you teach your brain that the upper back ribs push toward the low front pulls up, belly button, belt buckle pull up, all of this stuff down here pulls toward the upper back ribs. It could be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. Breathe that apart. Beautiful. So that's what we have, all these directions. Can you breathe this apart? Can that be breathing? Can this be breathing? Can upper low back and upper chest pull together, squeeze the air out? Can that open? Can you breathe with that dimension? Is that a dynamic dimension that's easy breathing space? And then can upper back pull toward low front ribs, low abdomen? Can you squeeze the air out with that? Can you breathe those apart? Can belly breathe away from upper back? Now, we can go a little further. You could go front ribs here on one side to back ribs there. Oblique lines through the body, the intercardinal directions. It could be closing up that way. I'm sinking this down toward these backside ribs, breathing that apart. Now I go very gently. I'm muscling it into place to show you on the video so you can actually see. It's just very soft movement when I'm lying in bed doing these breathing dimensions. Okay, let's come over to here. Other front side ribs below the collarbone to the opposite back side. Is your brain good at closing that line? Can it breathe those apart? Okay. Now let's do back ribs on one side to front on the other. These pull up toward the other side. The back ribs pull down. Can you close that space? Can you breathe that line? Is that line available for breathing space? Upper back, side, ribs, shoulder blade pulls to the lower front. Now, really look at it carefully. You got to be honest with yourself. I know you can force it open, but where is it a little bit stuck? Yeah, that. Where is that place? Close it up and open slow. Yeah, there you go. Wonderful. Inner space breathing dimensions of this dynamic rib cage. Can you be supple and can you breathe and be this amorphous, adaptable shape? Can you be alive in your body? Can you know every breathing direction? Can you practice it so it's easy? Look at where it's confusing, that's okay. And teach those confusing places. Give your brain a simple lesson. It's breathing space acquisition. That's an important part of the Eric Cooper Somatics method. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I'm Eric Cooper, InspireSomatics.com. Blessings on your journey.